Have you ever got bad career advice? Maybe you've talked to a friend, maybe you've talked to a mentor, maybe you've talked to a boss and they've given you some terrible advice. Maybe they've said, follow your passion and the money will follow. Maybe they've said, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, and yet you're still working every day. Wherever you're at, we're going to talk about some of the worst career advice you can receive and what you should do with it. AKA, put it in the bin. Let's get into it. Today's a special episode with two of my favourite work friends, Glen James, who is the founder of this podcast community. Glennie.
Hello.
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 Back at ya. And Phil Thompson, CEO of Skywealth. Hello, Phil.
Hello.
You guys are so good. We're here and we're going to talk about the worst career advice we've ever received. Maybe some of that career advice was from one another.
Oh, could be.
Let's go. All right. We've got this list. Who wants to jump in first with some of the worst career advice from this list?
Have either of you got any top of mind career advice that's been personally dished out to you?
Anything?
No? I didn't get much career advice.
Didn't you?
I got good career advice.
I got one
but
of
I haven't had bad career advice.
my boss before I started my own business, and it may have been just an instant reaction. When I told him I was starting my own business, he said to me, "You'll never be able to do it."
And where's he now?
We're still very wealthy, and, but I
you're
did
doing
it.
well. You're doing well.
You've
Yeah.
built multiple businesses.
But imagine that, like someone that trained you, you looked up to, said you'll never be able to do it for these reasons.
Can I give you? I'll flag some career advice. You guys can judge if it's good or bad. So one of my old coaches said to me that as long as 20% of your job you love doing and the 80% that you don't enjoy facilitates that 20%, then it's a great deal.
I'm not
Is that
I
good or
hate that
bad?
ratio.
No.
That ratio
That's
is
crap.
off. It should be flipped.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
80%.
Does
would
80%
even say-
of your work do you absolutely love?
No, I haven't got the ratio right.
Yeah, I reckon there's probably 80 or 90% that I love.
What's the 10% you don't like, just out of
Yeah,
curiosity?
doing like reels for Instagram,
You don't like
managing
that?
staff and people because I'm not good at it. Doing like speaking events.
You don't like that?
No, I'm good once I get on the stage when it's finished, but the anxiety I get leading up to it.
Okay, so going back to then Phil's point, what's the right ratio of enjoyment?
Gosh.
You know why I like it so
Why?
much? Because it means that like if you truly love 20% of your work, then the stuff that you don't enjoy is acceptable. It's not like a horrible environment and toxic. It's just a matter of does it facilitate the 20%? Now, if you can go somewhere else and another workplace that gives you, a higher
40%.
ratio, then great, go and do that.
So that advice is basically saying that you agree with 80% of your workday, if you don't love, but you love 20% of it. So for me, that literally, I file that under life's too short. I'm doing something where I enjoy more of my time.
Yeah. I mean, the reason why I love it is because every day you don't wake up in love with doing the things that you need to be doing. But as long as it facilitates
sadist.
as long as it facilitates the 20%, then that's okay.
Yeah, but
See, I would flip it the other way.
I don't actually believe you love 80% of your work.
Really?
Oh, no, I don't believe anyone
I don't
truly
work. I
loves
just do my
80%
stuff.
of their day.
100% I do. I literally feel like I don't have a job.
You never work a day in your life.
Yeah. I retired when I was 25 when I started my own business.
I mean, you did have a few years of slogging your guts out.
Yeah, I put the time in. Didn't hate it.
I would say that ratio feels off to me. I do think there are things in every person's job that they're going to absolutely not like. I would say my ratio right now, as it currently stands, is 50-50, and I'd like it to be more like 70-30.
Or I grant you this, but with the caveat that I don't love 80%, but the 20% is good training for my career, is good vibe, or it might be I've got a goal in my life. I'm going to work really hard to save a house deposit, and most of the things I don't like doing, I just think it's not sustainable for a good life vibe. Imagine your whole career, 80% of the time you are working
And you don't
you don't
like it.
love it.
No, but it's not you don't
Or don't
like
like
it.
it.
It's just you don't love it. I
Well,
love
it's
20%.
like a bit of a
Oh,
different.
okay. That's different.
No, the 80% of work that you have to do facilitates the 20% that you just love to do that you would
so
do
that
for
means
nothing.
I'm a doctor. 80% of my time is after hours doing paperwork. Don't love this, but I love one-on-one. Yeah, well, that's different the way that I perceive.
Yeah, because I was perceiving it as you
I hate
don't
80%
enjoy
of my
it.
life. Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like there's like 3 buckets we need. We need what we love,
Yeah.
what we like moderately
Tolerate.
enjoy, and what we absolutely loathe. And how much would be in your loathe bucket? Like, because I feel like
Well,
there's
my load bucket's like 10 to 15.
Yeah, I think loathe needs to be very low.
because I loathe sending emails.
Yeah, but I don't think you get to
I'm
a
gonna send
point
you
where
heaps
you would
these.
remove
Don't.
the loathe.
Well, I feel
always
like
gonna be
there's
present
always
in-
stuff you don't like. Like I'm like I hate checking my emails. Will I still do it? Yes, I friggin' hate it, and I hate calendar wrangling.
This is the fun thing about this career advice because is it bad or good? It depends on the way you perceive
And
it.
also, are we giving bad advice right now to all the
Probably.
listeners?
All right.
Can I go? I'm going to share one from this list.
Yeah, I
Glenn.
reckon we just pick them
Yeah, pick them at random.
at random.
I'll go first because I like to be in charge.
It's your podcast. You're the boss.
Okay. Follow your passion and the money will follow. What are your thoughts? I've got some, but I'm going to hold until you've shared yours.
I've got some thoughts.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you go,
I'll
Phil.
launch into my thoughts. Follow your passion and the money will follow. Don't mind it initially, but as long as there is an avenue for the money to follow. So I was actually talking to my daughters yesterday about, the jobs that are the most sexy and exciting, you're least likely to succeed in it. People who do boring things make money.
That's great advice.
And so I said
Yeah,
to them,
but that's the commodity thing.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Boring's a commodity.
Well, but it's
I
also
love the violin. 0.5% of people on the planet probably earn a full-time living from playing the violin.
But I think it's romanticized. Like being a full-time musician is romanticized.
Yes.
People love the idea of doing
Sexy.
it. Yeah,
It ticks
no
that
one
box.
wants to clean carpets all day long. And the people who can do that and create businesses out of it can succeed.
I like that advice. Unsexy
Pays the bills.
pays the
Pays the
bills.
bills.
But as long as it's not routinized and can't be done by AI, because some boring things will be, they are already being done completely by, like cold calling, for example, now being done by AI voice.
And so bring it back to this quote, follow your passion and the money will follow. If your passion is to be an actor, no, the money won't follow.
Well, can I tell you about my passion, which Glen knows about? My passion is fine dining. I love fine dining. I am a great freaking fine diner. I do it every week. I will tell you though, I would never get paid in any capacity. That passion actually costs me a crap
lot.
ton of money.
And it's a really good example because there's a but on this. So what I would say to you, if fine dining was really a passion, I would say, okay, how do we get the money to follow? So that would be, I'm a food blogger, I'm a food YouTuber, and then what you have to do is actually say, okay, my reason for living at the moment, and I did this exactly with my podcast. You've got to lean into the passion, consistency, and give it time. After 12 months, if you're like, I'm going to do a food blog, fine dining blog review every week and post it on YouTube for the next 12 months, not even looking at anything, just I'm keeping on doing it. At the end of that 12 months, you make the call. Are there trends? Are there signs of life? If there is, you can double down. If there isn't, don't waste your time. Get back to work.
I think the thing is though, the difference there is between passion and strength or skill. If I'm passionate about fine dining, I love it, live for it. I have no strengths in that area. Like I'm not a chef. I'm not a front of house person. I've never properly worked in hospo. So like I can't do, like, so just because you have a passion in an area, if you don't also have a strength in that same area, don't like, just enjoy it as a hobby. I consider it my hobby and love language.
Yeah.
Can I take us off a little bit? You gave me a gift of fine dining. My wife is an absolute foodie, and it was a beautiful gift. We cannot get into this restaurant.
Oh, I got in there the other day.
Well, how?
I walked in.
What is the restaurant?
You can walk Tipo in Melbourne. Kate has been looking online all the time. It's the
Go for lunch.
Very beautiful gift you gave us. It's so frustrating.
Actually, it's probably gonna run out soon. You better. I'll go there. I'll walk in. I'll take the gift back.
Yeah.
No, you know what?
Anyway,
You need to go for a long lunch.
Thank you for the fine dining. Yeah.
Well, not yet because you haven't used
I know.
it. You better get in there. Long lunch.
I think, it's like follow your passion and the money will follow if you're strategic and want it to be your career. But don't be...
And good at it.
And good at it.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
right. But don't be like everyone's been to LA and being served by a waiter who's now 60 years old waiting for their big break. Like, they may still get it. I'm not discrediting that. I'm just saying, well, how long do you go waiting before you go, look, this is not happening. I need to still go and get a job and earn good money. Still do that on the side, but the older we get, I don't think we put the farm on a passion.
But bringing it
After
back
a
to
couple of
this
years.
sexy idea, there's so many people who want to be fine dining, reviewers. So there's the market for people who can do that full time, and the amount of people who want to do that is just out of whack. So
So we've got a couple of factors. We've got the supply and demand in that particular thing.
market forces.
We've got the how sexy is it rating scale.
Yeah.
More sexy, you're less likely you're going to be able to do it. You need to, and then, are you actually good at it? Like, are you legit? Like, if not, have a hobby.
Yeah.
Be a food reviewer. Like, man, you pay to do your hobby and it costs a crap ton of money. And you,
Well, my podcast was literally a side hustle hobby when I started it.
And can I tell you one thing that I love about when you started the pod? I remember before you started the pod, you were really interested in coaching people like me, your average
Gal.
Just, I could have gone anywhere there. Average, I was going to, but who doesn't know much about money to be better with their money and to have a spending plan. I remember you came to our house and coached me and Sam. And I could tell that's your skill. You'd come from financial advice, so you already had strength. You were passionate about helping young people at the time, like me in my early 20s, to get better with money. And then you turned that passion and strength together into a new business.
Yeah, but I looked at the market. Like, at the time, there was no mainstream Aussie personal finance podcast. But also looked at it, I always loved video. I always wanted to be a radio announcer. I love tech.
you're very technical.
But it was literally, and it's luck. Like, there's a really good book by Professor Robert H. Frank. He's been on my main show called Success and Luck. They both go hand in hand.
Can I say, one time you
We need to, yeah.
One time you said to me, I don't know if you remember this, we were talking about the business and I was like...
What offensive thing did I say this time, Shelley? Let's go.
Yeah, you were right, but I don't know if I took it in that way in the first instance. We were talking about starting a business and how hard it is and how difficult it is. And you were also like, and also, you're not going to like to hear this, Shelley, but you were lucky. And I was like, I reject that.
Did I say you were lucky in your business?
As in, no, you were saying that exact thing that Glen was saying. In the context, it doesn't sound as nice when I've just said it there. You were saying you've worked your ass off, but there also is a degree of luck, and you were talking about your business. There's timing. There's like the luck of something happens at an exact moment. And like, I think you're absolutely right, because there's the luck of, for me, and yes, we don't dispute how hard we've all worked. We've worked our freaking asses off to do the thing. But like, it was actually a lucky thing that you said to me, do you want to start this pod? Because that's been really helpful from it. And so to your point, I say it in the cheekiest way possible.
I'm good at apologising, Shelley, so I'm happy to publicly apologise.
It was from the right, it was exactly what you just said, that it's the combination of working your butt off and right place, right time, a little bit of luck.
Yeah, and you got to be good at what you do. Or at least, you remember that House, the show House on TV? Hugh Laurie, a million years old now, but he was just all the one-liners. He's like, you got two options, be good or get good.
You've told me that quote a few times, actually.
But how good is it as a quote?
Yeah. But anyway, back to you. You
we've gotta
didn't
get
say it in
through
the
the
way.
list.
You did not say it in that way to me.
Okay, good.
You said it in a really heartfelt way.
Okay, appreciate it.
So
What's yours?
we've got to go through this list.
What do you think about fake it till you make it?
Oh, good one. Okay. What do you think?
Ish. Like, okay, so I'll give a context, and I know there's a lot of people who listen who are employees, and I do want to try and speak, if I am speaking to employees. So I'll say as a business owner, I was talking to someone the other day, and they're starting their business and trying to get, things right, and she's like, oh, I haven't got the right kind of pack. I'm like, look, you got to get to the spot. If you go into a client and they're a good client, you would like to work with them, and you don't have a package for what they want or whatever, and they're like, we want to work with you, just in that instance, that fake it till you make it, absolutely, I can put something bespoke together for you, leave it with me, and I'll get back to you in a few days. So in that instance, that faking it till you make it, she is good at what she does. She was in the right setting, but instead of turning the work down because she didn't have a bespoke model for that client, just sell it and work it out later. So in that instance, fake it till you make it. The risk with faking it until you make it is if your bluff gets called, it could end badly. Now, if you're an employee and you want to, progress with that career on the industry or your employer, and it's a big office and they're like, oh, we need a volunteer to head up this little side quest project, you might be like, I've never done project management before or side quest. In that instance, step forward, put your hand up and go, yeah, I'll absolutely do this.
I love thinking about being like, I've never done a side quest.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been on this side quest.
Yeah, workplaces are just video games. Don't you know that, Shell?
So that's kind of what I think of it. Like, yes, but you've got to lean in, commit to something and work it out later because you can make this happen. But if they said, we're after someone who's perfect at managing this side project, who wants it? Well, by definition, I'm not perfect because I haven't done 3 of these a week for the last 5 years, but I've got a brain. I know the business well.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I'll put my hand up and say, I'll get the job done.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this advice because, when we have a new team member in our business, we always do one-on-ones with the team leads so they get to know the business. And when I bring in a new team member who reports to me, I facilitate those things. And at the end of it, we're always like, what's one piece of advice this new team member can succeed? Everyone, all the leads, say the exact same thing, is just ask questions. Be inquisitive, ask questions. The issue with this fake it till you make it is people feel like, I can't ask questions because I've got to pretend like I know what I'm doing. And that is the inverse of what we want. You got to be confident, self-assured, but ask questions, be diligent.
But that's like you if someone calls you bluff, you got to make sure that it doesn't backfire.
I think the key word in what Phil just said as well is pretend.
Yeah.
Like, if you're pretending, that's very different to, I would say a better piece of advice, fake it till you make it is not good. I would say, like, test and learn.
Yeah.
And actually have an experiment, like, feel like you're experimenting, going, okay, if you want to start public speaking and presenting to clients at work and you're terrified to do that, see it as an experiment, test and learn. And, like, as you say, Phil, like, be curious, inquisitive versus actually, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to pretend that I do. That mortifies me. Like, if I have a team member who's doing that, I'm going to freak out. I'm like, no, I'd like the vulnerability of you going, I'd love to grow in this area. Let's help me.
100%. And I reckon, even if you can use it, if you're going for a job, like you might be in an admin role and you're a jack of all trades in that business and you want to move to the next income band and do a bit of like operations or like, sure, reword what you're doing on your resume so it reads that you can do it. That's the fake it till you make it because confidently you can get the job done. But if I had a team member, I'm like, I need someone to do this side quest, I'd rather someone put their hand up and be like, hey, never done it before, but I've got a brain and I know stuff. I reckon I'll be able to shape this.
Yeah, and side quest, I'd like to add that to my resume.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a break and we'll continue the list right after this.
Do you want to grow in your career? Are you after a fresh start or some inspiration? Or perhaps you're in a career crisis? The book Sort Your Career Out and Make More Money by Shelley Johnson and Glen James is such a great resource at any stage in your career. It will give you practical strategies for things like getting a promotion, making more money, moving into a leadership role, taking career risks, or if it's time to quit your job, and so much more. You can find Sort Your Career Out and Make More Money wherever good books are sold or via the link in the podcast show notes. It's also available as an audiobook.
All right, Glennie, what did you put down? What one was of interest to you?
Ooh. I don't like this, the boss is always right, always say yes. Is that similar, like the customer's always right? No. People, including me, are friggin' idiots. That's just a comment there. Because I want to get through a few more.
Yeah.
I don't want to harp on each one. Oh, there's the one above it, the customer is always right as well. Yeah.
The other one that I reckon... work hard and you'll get noticed. I think that one is of interest to me because I'm a big believer in like people really being driven, gritty at work, working really hard, coming with batteries included, all that stuff. But I think there's a difference between sometimes getting your next step and does working hard always translate to that. Let's say you're working hard to get a promotion. Does just working hard get you that promotion? I would say probably not, because it's also the combination of working your butt off and having conversations with people in the workplace to go, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm after, and recognising your boss isn't a mind reader. Like they don't know what you want, so unless you communicate it, working hard doesn't always translate.
I mean, working hard, you might get noticed. The boss might go, oh, you're just crushing it lately. Awesome, tick, you've been noticed, because everyone else left the office at 5:01. You're still there finishing up at 5:15 because you're legitimately working hard. Now, the question is, do you want to stand out and get a promotion? It's not going to be by just doing more of the same thing, because there might not be any pay in the budget for a promotion. Because I remember, like, when I was working in the city, I would obviously... take full ownership of my job, and I would do little things and I would stay back to kind of tweak things, and I was in a junior role. I got noticed. The director's like, what are you doing here at 6 p.m.? I'm like, oh, I just wanted to do this stuff. They weren't like, oh, here's an extra 10 grand a year.
Yeah, and it, as you said, Shelley, it comes with conversations. We had career conversations with all our advisors in the business in April, and most of it we knew where everyone was, going towards, and we were pretty comfortable with. There was nothing surprising from those conversations, but some of it was, okay, that's great, that's where you want to go towards, but maybe not just yet. And then following on from that, there was some, one team member wants to move into leadership. And so I was able to have a chat a few months later and go, hey, you want to step into leadership? Here's some issues that you can maybe start to work with, because even though they don't report to you, you can kind of shape and mold the culture of this business as a leader before you have that, that role. And so it was good to have that conversation, know where she wants to go, and it just meant it was easier to have the conversations. But if she just worked hard, and it's, as you said, I can't read her mind. I don't know that she wants to. I may have a guess, but it is important to follow up that, work hard, but have good conversations and candid conversations.
What other bad advice stood out to you?
Oh, I want to chat about this one because I'm recruiting at the moment. There's one here, make sure your resume is only 1 page long, and also include your headshot on your resume.
Ooh, okay.
I think...
Agree or disagree?
Well, I don't know if it's needed to have your headshot on a resume. You think that's we don't have to camp here, but...
No.
Knock yourself
I don't think
out
so.
if you
But
want.
I'll always look at them on LinkedIn.
So, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like, it's generally an accepted rule that you don't have your photo on your resume. However, like you just said, we always look at people on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So maybe that's old school advice, and just do what you want. Make sure your resume is only 1 page long. As long as it's good, and like, I don't care if you worked part-time at McDonald's when you were 19, don't care. Put relevant stuff on your resume.
I don't know. I just give me your LinkedIn link and then I'll just go there. That's kind of the easiest way to find out.
I've had a few people apply for this current role, and I always put tripwires in the job description. So it's like, if you want to apply, don't just click here on Seek. I need you to email me your cover letter and resume to careers at email address. So that's first tripwire because I need attention to detail. But the things that I've been seeing, people have been applying, and I say you need experience in Premiere Pro and video editing, After Effects and all that stuff. People are applying, and in their little blurb on the resume, it's like, oh, I'm really interested in the fashion industry and I want to do this. I'm like, we need to, at least tailor your resume or CV for each job, even if it's the front paragraph. So also, make sure if you say you're good at copywriting, spell copyright correct.
Don't spell it
Copywriting
like
is
the legal way.
Well, copywriting is one word, not two. So, but just stuff like that.
I think the resume etiquette and hygiene is really important, and I do believe there's some really old podcasts from back in the day when M. Bowen was hosting. Go back and listen because the advice still remains.
And there's so many that have got the references on the resume or CV. Don't do that.
On request.
Just put references, referees available on request, because then at least I could literally call someone's current manager and go, oh, old mate's looking for a job. Are they good?
No, but one reason you put referees available on request is so that you know you've progressed to the final stages.
Yeah.
It gives you a little signal that you're doing well. Can I? There's another one on there. Actually, I just added this in as bad advice.
Yeah.
I've had quite a few heated debates with people around this. I'd love to know your thoughts. You can't be friends with the boss.
Ooh.
Okay, so what are your thoughts? Because I have thoughts.
You go, Phil.
I think you can be friends and you can have a
Friendly
great...
or friends? Well, let's agree. What's our
what is a
definition of friend?
Yeah.
Oh, this is good. This is a good combo.
I feel like I'm...
So we, over time we try and invite team members to dinner, but we wouldn't, like at our house, with a group of team members. But I wouldn't be going and having a beer, inviting them over to have a beer. That would be a friend.
Yes.
So I don't know.
So definition of friend according to ChatGPT.
Yes, please.
A person with whom one has a bond of mutual affection. A friend is someone you trust and enjoy spending time with. It usually involves closeness, support, shared experiences, and mutual respect.
That's work colleagues.
I would say most people with I would want to be that to people that work with me.
Well, yeah, but that's more friendly. Where
No, that's the definition of friend according to ChatGPT.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
but
I would say
ChatGPT
that
is
should be
very
the
wrong.
relationship in a workplace.
I reckon too.
Yeah.
And I feel like good friendships have honest conversations, a depth of trust, mutual respect, and I actually enjoy spending time with you.
But the difficulty is, do true friendships have a hierarchy?
Well, but,
well, that's right.
But the thing is...
Actually, it depends what friendship group.
That's right. But the thing is, in terms of that definition of friends with the boss, are you socializing with the boss outside work hours for non-work stuff? Be it socializing via text message, beers, hey, let's go and see this football game or musical together. Here's a question for you.
Okay, hit me with it.
I would say you and Scotty, I saw you all out having beers the other night. You and Scott and Rach and Sam. I'm like, here's a friendship circle hanging out together.
It also sounds like, when the way you describe it, I did post it on social media. He wasn't just like lingering in the background of the binoculars, being like, hey, I can see them and I wasn't invited.
Yeah. So that, for me, the question is, should you want to socialize with your boss or someone under you? It's weird.
Okay, so
because it's like
No, you
could
got
be,
thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts.
you want to hear my thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't buy you can't be friends with the boss. I do think it's complicated. And I think there's a couple of complications. So I've had teams that I've led and I'm still, like, we've talked about Annabelle heaps on the pod before and one of my other teammates from a previous role, and we're still friends. And they reported to me. I think where it gets complicated, and that was probably worked well in a small team where there's not heaps of us, but if you're leading 8 people and 2 of the 8 you're really tight with, like super close, and then the rest of the people feel like it's cliquey, that can be really destructive to the health of a team. The other thing is what happens when there's performance issues, which I think people get nervous about. They're like, what happens if I have to manage their performance? Whereas I feel like maybe my definition of friendship is a little bit more broad than like, it's not me and you hanging out on the weekend having drinks. It's we have a healthy relationship where we can have honest conversations, where I care about your growth, so I'm going to tell you when things aren't working well. We're going to have that type of dynamic. And I would expect that from my manager, who I have lots of trust with and have a great relationship with.
You'll only know the actual answer to that question once one person leaves the business
Yeah.
on any terms, because were they ever actual, and so that's number one. And number two, were you friends with them before or did you build a friendship? Because we've all got friends with at work. I mean, I had lots of good friends in the office at work, but I left there and the friendship pretty much
Fizzled.
petered away
And that's
because it was
probably-
a circumstantial friendship.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Well, do you...
Yeah, I mean, I think it gets difficult if the leader struggles to have candid conversations with their friends. And so it's actually, the way I view it is more for the leader. Can they be brave enough to say something that may feel awkward or uncomfortable, and, you know, do they really want to feel liked? And so therefore going to, you know, hide back on those difficult conversations with their friends. If that's the case, then it's not a healthy relationship, work relationship.
I think one thing, me as the boss, I don't, and I've actually got Sean, I haven't told you this yet. So Sean's in our team. They were just in Australia. I don't follow on Instagram or social media any of my team members, because I want them to feel that they've got privacy outside of work.
Oh, what do you think, Phil? I can see your mind whirring.
I follow my team,
Same.
but
Yeah.
it's not
Like,
like
so am I being too precious?
Maybe.
Maybe, I don't know.
I just want them to know, like, tag Sean in a reel or video, like story when he was out here and all that. Josh isn't on IG, but if he's thinking, why aren't you following me? Well, that's the reason. I just think it's more of a respect that.
Also, have you had people block you after they leave?
So, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I haven't, but it's complicated.
Do you know what else I reckon is really annoys me about this whole dynamic with friends at work? Is when a manager says to a team member, like let's say you and I are sitting down, Phil, and they go, "Hey Phil, I've just got to take off my friend hat, and I got to put on my manager hat." And
Is that bad?
oh yeah,
I think so,
Do you
yeah.
not? I find that so artificial and inauthentic. I'm like, you can have multiple dynamics. Relationships are complicated. They're allowed to be. They don't have to be one dimensional. It can't just be, well, now I'm in friend mode, and by the way, now I'm in manager mode, and I'm going to tell you how crap you are.
But I had an issue with a friend who I was doing work with. Like, hey, you want to grab a coffee? Yeah. So for me, my personality is everything's just all in one. But that friend caught up for coffee, mentioned business stuff, and they got really upset because they thought they were having a coffee with the friend, not the boss.
Yeah.
But the question is, well, maybe the friendship wasn't as robust as I thought it was.
Yeah, and
And that's why in that instance was like, maybe when people call it out, they're doing that because they know their friend works in that manner.
I think there's a better way to call it out. And one way I would say instead, if you and I are close friends, hypothetically speaking.
Yeah, I know, in this made-up world. Yeah, thank you. I mean, you did start with we're work friends.
We
so
are work
I
friends, we
appreciate
are.
it. Yeah.
Are we?
We are, but there's
Work
no hierarchy,
friends.
is there? Because we're all,
You prefaced it with work.
well, we're friends. We're
Well,
friends. You're
I
one.
heard from her sister the other day that Shell's organising my birthday dinner.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you.
That's it's in my diary.
Good. Actually, I didn't tell you. And then Beth's like, I told Glen, I'm like, perfect, can he come? Because I'm going to book.
And I said, she's not going to ambush me with anyone that I don't want there, is she?
No, I'm the least likely person
I know,
to
we
invite
had that discussion.
randos.
Shell, I've got a question for you. You said,
But
when
Phil,
got-
do you get invited out with Shell?
No, I'm in Melbourne. That's the only reason.
You're in Melbourne.
I'd
more
be
than-
Are we
invited.
on the same flight home tonight? I'm going to Melbourne tonight. Are you going to Melbourne tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, we're probably on the same flight.
8:40.
Maybe.
8:40? That's,
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm going at 5.
Yeah,
I
he's
actually
virgin.
need to leave soon.
Yeah, so
I had a question. You said
Yeah.
when you've got 2 that are really close, but you are 8 people in your team, how do you manage that? Because, I mean, I'm in this situation as well. We've got
Okay.
a lot of team members and I've got closer
Yeah.
okay,
relationships.
let's
You've
turn that
worked
up
with
to
them longer.
11. What if there is a relative as well?
Oh, gosh, no.
Nepotism.
We don't hire
Okay.
relatives. That's the one rule. We do not. We don't take our sister hat off and put our boss hat on. We don't like that. No, I mean, that is turning it up to 11. I think, though, here's what I think. You can, and one thing I remember saying to a team member who was new into our small team dynamic when I was running a HR team was, hey, you might notice, like, I've been working really closely for a long time with these 2 people. We've worked together for like 4 years. So we can we've gotten to this point where we know sometimes what each other are thinking. You're coming in, we're going to build that relationship as well, but it may take time. So you might notice that. And just calling out, different relationships have different dynamics. Just like your friendship with Glen is different to your friendship with me, your work friendship with me. Do you know what I mean? So it's okay to have those different dynamics. The key thing is you as a leader have to be consistent.
Yeah.
If you're inconsistent in how you show up with your team, which I know you will, you are super consistent. You tell everyone how it is in really honest, kind ways. So people know what to expect from you. Whereas if you're like taking on and off your freaking hats and you're like a friend hat and then the next day a manager hat all the time, I'm like, I don't trust you.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like that because it's like I'm not going to try and behave one way specifically with one team member and another way with another team member. It's like you're dealing with me, warts and all. And so...
Sorry.
Here we go on the warts.
And so, was it warts? Is that
No.
what set you off?
I forgot that. Sorry, that was my problem. You finished with.
You know, as I was saying, is you're going to deal with me, and I want to try and be consistent across all my relationships, and we're going to have different relationships with different team members based on the time I spend with them. But I want to try and be as consistent as possible. So that's why I'm not going to take off a hat and put on another hat.
A friend of mine, he was working in a business, still is. They needed an extra person in the business. He knew a guy that would be a good fit for that business, has come in and it's not working. And now my friend feels really bad.
I struggle hiring friends. We've had some bad issues in the past.
So
Anyway,
there's
back
that
to
really
the
good
cricket.
there's a really good Michael Scott quote about that of like
From The Office?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
No.
from The Office, where he's like, it was my expectations that I wasn't going to be managed.
Yeah.
And how did you come to those expectations? He's like, it was my expectations. I feel like that's what friends, when you have those existing relationships where they come in and there's like, I don't know, it can be good and it can be bad.
Never be yourself in an interview. Be who they want to hire. I mean, you can do both, can't you?
Yeah, if you think you're who you are is who they want to hire, I think that works.
But if I go for a role and like, we need a very measured and considered person that just going to sit at their desk all day like a good little boy, do I pretend to be that good little boy where it's not me?
No, you're a naughty little boy.
You said he was a good boy before.
I did. I patted him on the head. Good boy. Good boy in the most patronising way. Isn't it interesting? It's kind of like if you're going for a date with someone and you put on a facade, not that I've dated anyone for a very long time, but like back in the day of dating when people actually went on dates, they didn't, okay.
When you go on a date for the first time, yes.
When you go on a date,
Yeah.
if you feel like you need to put on a facade,
Yeah, what are you doing?
then you're going to have to uphold that for the whole time. You're inauthentic. Whereas like it's in the if the interviewer, if you think you have to put on an air, good luck trying to put on that air 40 plus hours a week. It's not going to be good. So just be you.
With a little bit of a disclaimer
Yeah.
of make sure you are,
Professional.
professional.
Everything that we've discussed is everything circumstantial. It might be right or wrong. Just feel the room, read the room. How about that?
This is straight up wrong. Your team should be your family.
Yeah.
Straight up wrong.
yeah, I don't
In the
use the
bin.
word family.
I worked
We're
in
a
an
team.
organisation that called us, it was the family.
Yeah, they're not
And there
family
was a large
when they
organisation.
fire your ass and don't care about
Yeah, they're
it.
not. Yeah, that's exactly right. I hated it. I'm like, no, we're a team.
Yeah.
Teams will change. Whereas it's like, I don't performance manage my family.
As much as you would love to.
As much as I would love to, and I would
as
love
one
to.
of 5
Don't-
kids, I feel you, Shell.
Don't ask for a raise. They'll give it to you when you deserve it. Nah.
Nah, ask.
Yeah. Ask for what you want.
The answer might be no, but still ask.
Yeah.
100%. Ask for 100% of an increase.
What's your thought on team members like talking about their salary with each other? Because my philosophy is couldn't care less, but just don't be offended if I tell you that person who's paid more is more valuable to the business than you.
Well, they can talk about it because it's not like this pay secrecy is no longer a thing. So.
Yeah, but
Is it
there's
a
still
thing
an
for small
unspoken
business?
rule.
No,
Or is
it's
it
not a thing.
It's still an
unilaterally?
unspoken rule within
Unilaterally, I believe.
organisations.
Oh, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's like pay secrecy is no longer a thing.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, I get what you mean. Like, there's an etiquette
Yes.
where people maybe still feel nervous. I like what you say though, of like just transparency. And if you actually have done a good job of measuring people's performance and paying them in accordance with their performance and contribution to the culture, it should be fairly obvious that this person's
Your
doing this.
pay rise is effective when you are.
Love that. And what a great way to end this conversation. Any final thoughts on bad career advice or any good career advice you'd like to give?
I want to finish with probably the best advice I ever received, which was from the same person who told me I could never do my business. I think that was just his reaction when I first told him. Before I left the office, he said, and I've used this for the whole time since then, is what I'm saying. Am I having a stroke?
Yeah.
What's the acronym? Fast,
I think we're
face,
collectively.
arms.
Are you okay?
Speech. I couldn't talk. And time. Look after people and don't chase the dollars. That's all he said to me, starting your own business. Just look after people, don't chase the dollars.
That is good advice. I feel like great way to end this conversation. I love you both as my friends beyond work.
Can Phil come to my birthday?
Yeah, but no one else.
You're
No.
doing it in Melbourne.
No, we're doing it
No.
up here.
It'd be great for you to be there if you can make that a priority.
I've been told it's on Friday the 27th of
June,
June.
and at a really nice restaurant because I love fine dining and it's actually all about me. No,
Yeah, I don't
no,
mind.
but you like that place.
Oh, it's great.
So
Flotilla, if you will.
flotilla, yeah. But
You've just told people.
I don't care. No one's gonna come.
no one's going to come.
No one
Also, you
listens
can't
to
get
this.
in. It's really
Okay.
hard to get in, like Tipo. By the way, long lunch. If you take Kate to a long lunch there, you'll get in. So you just need to not go for dinner. And actually, I would prefer, in any case, long lunch always at the peak of the time. Like, does that make any sense?
No, I get it. No, we've said that. I've said, let's just pick a day and give me 3 weeks' notice and all
Okay,
good.
you're invited to my birthday.
I fly in from the US the day before, so
We'll keep
I-
flying.
Yeah, don't know how much.
So Shell's left with I love you both,
I love you too, Shell.
Thanks.
and that's what you're leaving on.
And what are you
Yeah.
leaving on?
I left on the don't chase the dollars and
Oh,
look
so
after
it's
people.
not reciprocal love. But don't worry.
You'll get love when you earn it.
It sounds really weird. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and give us
Or
a
not.
or not. Share the love. Share it around and give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple because it helps us get the pod out there.
If you have enjoyed the show today, forward it to a friend, colleague, or family member who you may think it would benefit. Shelley's business Boldside provides leadership training for a variety of different businesses. To learn more, visit boldside.com.au. If you would like to book Shelley to speak at one of your events, please reach out to the team via moneypodcast.com.au.